Hi, Verbling. My name's Michaela. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. And today we're talking about phrasal verbs. We'll be discussing specifically what the difference is between separable and inseparable phrasal verbs. If you guys have any questions or comments on today's class or would like to suggest material for future classes, you can let me know on Facebook, and I'll put my Facebook name in the chat box for you. I also have plenty of open tutoring hours. If you guys would like to practice with me one-on-one, you can go to my profile on Verbling and schedule a session. All right. I'll also give you the notes we're going to be working from today in the chat box. All right. So as soon as we get a couple people in, we'll get started. Hopefully it will be fun, even though today is a heavy grammar day. I also have two other classes coming up today. The next one is on spelling, which we'll talk a little bit about words that are difficult to spell for particular reasons, like common patterns in consonants and words that are spelled the same but pronounced differently. And that sets us up for class number 3 today, which is going to talk about homographs and homophones and lots of other different categories of words that are difficult to remember and spell. So since we're talking about phrasal verbs today, we're going to kind of ease in generally. And I'd like to get some examples from students of phrasal verbs you guys already know and feel comfortable with. If any of our viewers would like to put a phrasal verb in the chat box for us, that would work as a great example. You can stick any phrasal verbs you can think of in that chat box. Nacho, welcome to class.
Hello, Michaela. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
I'm fine. Not too bad. It's Monday, but could be worse.
Yeah, depressing, but do you have anything fun planned this week?
No, I don't have. Only to work. No.
And
As a
verbling, that's
normal.
fun.
I'm boring, guys. It's very exciting classes in Berlin. Yeah, my plan. Yeah, and then
Good to hear.
the school started already. And my son has to go full time, yeah, because the first.
That's nice, right? You get a little free time around the house.
Yeah, it's different, yeah.
How old is your son?
It's the third one, and he is 13.
Wow.
But
So
I
you have
have,
3 kids and your youngest is 13?
yeah,
Cool.
the oldest is my daughter. He's 25, and he's living in London, working, yeah. And
Wow,
the
awesome.
yeah, and the second one is a boy. He's 22. He's just this course has finished his studies. He has studied biology. Do you know biology science?
Mhm.
Biology science. And
Interesting.
now, last month, he went to institute, practical institute in Scotland. He's going to spend 6 months in Scotland, in Aberdeen. Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, he's not going to earn anything, only to spend and to learn. But it's,
Awesome. Do they speak
I'm
English?
happy with it. Eh? Sorry?
Do they speak English?
They speak English, yeah. Yeah.
Excellent.
My daughter speaks very well English because she's living with Australian guy
Awesome.
time ago. Yeah.
Very
Uh,
cool.
She speaks very well.
Wow,
And
congratulations.
the second one speaks better than me, but no, not so, no like his his
He
birth
has
sister.
plenty of time to learn.
Yeah, I hope he's going to learn a lot this next month in Scotland. Mhm.
Excellent. Very cool. So, today we're talking about phrasal verbs. What are some phrasal verbs you already know and are comfortable using?
Hmm. I think a lot, but I don't know. To You start in the morning, you have to wake up
Yep.
or stand up, or so,
Mm-hmm.
and then mm, to well, I think I guess I hope that I know a lot of phrasal verbs, but to a lot of phrasal verbs with get,
Mm-hmm.
to with put on, put uh, uh, to take advantage, to
Okay.
run out of something,
Mm-hmm.
to set up.
Mm-hmm. That's a good start to our list. Thank you very much, Nacho. And Roberto, welcome to class.
Oh, thank you.
Good to have you with us. We're talking about phrasal verbs today. Get us started with a couple phrasal verbs that you're comfortable working with, ones you really feel like you've mastered.
Let's see. Hmm, I can't stand that person.
Hmm?
I can't stand that person.
What was the phrasal verb? Can't something that
I,
purse?
yeah,
Can't stand. Can't stand.
Oh, can't stand.
yeah,
Okay, so that's not exactly a phrasal verb. That would be more like a modal verb combined with um, uh, another verb. So can't stand is a good conjunction of two different verb types. But a phrasal verb, like Nacho gave us some examples of, they have prepositions or sometimes adverbs combined with a verb. So that would be
like
wake up, stand up, set up. Can you think of one like that?
it's like a keep up with.
Yeah, perfect. That's a phrasal verb. Keep up with. Great. Can you think of any others?
Mm, not now.
Okay, so we have a good list started. And we talked a little bit about how usually a phrasal verb has a main verb like get, wake, keep, something normal, and then it's attached to a preposition or an adverb. And sometimes it's even attached to two. So the example Roberto gave us has two prepositions it's attached to. Keep up with. And the ones we got from Nacho each have two words, but only one particle. So it's wake up, stand up, set up. Those are all excellent examples of phrasal verbs. And I put the notes for you guys in the chat box. So load those notes up while we continue talking for a second so that you're prepared when we move over to those notes. So what do you guys know already about phrasal verbs? Roberto, tell us a little bit about what you already know about phrasal verbs or how they are used. Are they the same as normal verbs? How do we use them differently, Roberto? You're muted, Roberto. Can you hear me? All right. I'll come back to you. Let me know in the chat box if you're having any
Hello.
trouble. Nacha. Oh, there we go. Hey, Roberto. No? He was there for a second. Now he's gone. Okay, maybe he was having technical difficulties. Nacho, it's up to you. Tell us, what do you know about phrasal verbs and how they work, how they're used?
I know there are separable or inseparable phrasal verbs. That means that you can put another word between the preposition and the verb. So sometimes when you use a phrasal verb answering some question, for example, you put reference to, you use a pronoun instead of the noun. You can put the pronoun between the verb and the preposition.
Excellent summary. So, moving over to the notes, we're going to read a little more in detail about the concept that you just mentioned.
Okay.
And I'll share my screen for anyone who needs it. Okay. So, let's make this a little bigger. Okay, so phrasal verbs can be separated into two groups, separable and inseparable phrasal verbs. We also have another two groups we could separate them into called transitive and intransitive. Nacho, any idea what transitive and intransitive phrasal verbs are?
No, in fact, I don't know
Okay.
when phrasal verb is separable. I think I only know because using it.
Okay, well then
Sounds
today
to
we're
me.
gonna go a little deeper into that territory. But you're totally right. It's difficult to know when one is and when one isn't. So we have transitive and intransitive, which are phrasal verbs that take objects and phrasal verbs that don't take objects. So for instance, the phrasal verb hang out is intransitive because you cannot put an object. You can't say like, I am going to hang it out. So that's not possible. You also can't say, I'm going to hang out the mall. So we can't add an object there, meaning it's intransitive. But most phrasal verbs, the majority of phrasal verbs, you can put an object on.
Yeah.
So those are the ones we're going to be working with today. And then in those ones that are transitive, that do take an object, we separate them into separable and inseparable. Okay. So let's read about what this is. Can you read the highlighted section for us?
Okay. Separable phrasal verbs can remain separated or together when using an object that is a noun or a noun phrase. Or noun phrase. Okay. Examples. He paid back the debt, or he paid the debt back. Okay. The company laid out quite a bit for research, or the company laid quite a bit out for research.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So this you mentioned before, right? When we have a noun phrase, you can put it in the middle or you can put it at the end. With separable phrasal verbs, there's no difference. So let's try and take one of the phrasal verbs we talked about earlier in class and apply this concept. Let's use the phrasal verb wake up. Can you tell me if that's a transitive or intransitive phrasal verb first? Can it take an object?
No.
Can't take an object?
I think it can't.
Okay, so most of the time it doesn't take an object. However, we can use an object with it sometimes. So I'll give you an example. I wake my brother up at 7 a.m. So if my brother is going to be late for work, I might wake him up instead of letting him sleep too long. So in that case, we have an object attached to the phrasal verb wake up. So it can be intransitive, but it also can be transitive. It can take an object. Now, do you think it's separable or inseparable?
I guess it is inseparable. Inseparable.
Inseparable?
Yeah.
Okay, so look at the sentence I made. I wake my brother up at 7 a.m. What is the object in that sentence?
My brother. But
Uh-huh.
no, in this case is you have separated that.
Exactly. It is separated. So it's kind of tricky to figure these ones out, but this one is taking an object in this sentence, and it is separable in this sentence. Can you make a similar sentence using, how about stand up?
Yes, of course. Yes, this morning I woken up. I woken up my brother, and he is no. Yeah, and this morning I stand my brother up. Stand my brother up.
Okay. Okay. So this morning, if it's in the past, we'll say stood. Stood
Yeah.
my brother up. Now this is a pretty funny sentence. It's a correct sentence, but it's kind of a funny one. Like, you know, if your brother was not capable of standing on his own, then you would stand him up, right?
Yeah.
Now, is the phrasal verb stand up transitive or intransitive? In the sentence you made.
In the sentence I made, is transitive.
Yep, it takes an object. And is it separable or inseparable?
In the sentence that I made is separable. I would have said that before. I would have said that it was inseparable, but now.
It depends on the situation sometimes, because most of the time when we say stand up, we're talking about the person doing the action, like I stand up. And in that case, we would not use an object. And if we did use an object, we would probably say myself, like I stand myself up. So it's kind of a funny one to use because it's usually talking about the doer of the action. But in this case, when we're saying that I did this action for someone else, it can be separable on rare occasions. Okay, now I'm going to send you a list of phrasal verbs.
Yeah.
And they come in a list of separable and inseparable. So the link that I'm sending you is of a page that has all separable phrasal verbs on it. It's got a huge list of separable phrasal verbs. And if you go to the left, you can see there's also a list of inseparable phrasal verbs as well as intransitive phrasal verbs. So those are all really good resources to have, and I always recommend to students that they make their own lists as well to help them keep track of ones that they've learned and ones that the more information you find out, the better it is to write it all down so that you don't forget it later. And even the action of writing it down can really be helpful for remembering. All right. So using that list of separable phrasal verbs, choose a separable phrasal verb and make a sentence with an object in the middle of the set. You can choose any verb you like.
Where is the list? In the link that you did make?
Oh yeah, right. I put it in the verb link chat box, but I can put it in the...
No, in the verb link, it's not working for me now. I don't know why.
Oh, all right. Well, I just put it in the Google chat
In
box
the
as
Google
well,
chat,
if that
yes.
helps.
Okay, yes. I got it.
Excellent.
Okay, now I'm watching.
All right. I'll give you a couple minutes to get your creative juices flowing, and whenever you're ready, you can read it for us.
Do you want me to choose one verb and make a sentence?
Exactly. Choose a separable phrasal verb and make a sentence with an object in the middle of the set. So like we've been practicing with the last two.
Okay. Okay.
All ready?
You only want one? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead and
For
read us
example,
your sentence.
I have to clean my room up.
Excellent. Perfect. I have to clean my room up. Okay, so now that we've talked a little bit about those separable phrasal verbs, we have a little bit more to go. And then we'll move on to inseparable. Can you read the last section when it talks about separable phrasal verbs under the highlighted section?
Which one? Sorry.
Starts with separable phrasal verbs must be separated.
Yes. Must be separated. No, I can't find it.
So right where you stopped the last time, you read those examples the company laid out quite a bit for research, or the company laid quite a bit out for research. You read those last examples, and then there was still a couple phrases underneath that before inseparable phrasal verbs. Do you see it?
No.
If you look on my screen share, you should be able to see it highlighted.
Yeah.
Can you see my screen share?
Yes.
Read the blue section there.
The document I've opened is not the same. Separate phrasal verbs must be separated when a pronoun is used. Example, we ran it up by $50,000. They bailed him out of the situation. Frank paid all back by the end of the month.
Awesome. Any questions before I ask you to make a sentence using a pronoun?
No.
Okay. So then this time I'm going to give you one. I'm going to give you the separable phrasal verb blow up. You get blow up.
Blow up. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
To blow up.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to write a sentence?
Yes. Write a sentence using a pronoun as an object.
Okay.
Excellent. They blew the bomb up yesterday. Ooh, very cool. Great sentence. And I love the way you used the object in the middle. Now, if you were going to use a pronoun instead of that object, how would you change the sentence?
Pronoun, they blew it up yesterday.
Exactly. They blew it up yesterday. Perfect. Okay, so what if I said they blew up it yesterday?
They,
Is that
they,
possible too?
I don't like. It doesn't sound well for me.
Exactly. It sounds a little icky to people who are familiar with phrasal verbs because we usually don't do that kind of conjunction there. We usually, with this particular verb, put the pronoun in the middle instead of at the end. So it takes an experienced ear to be able to pick that out and say, oh no, that doesn't sound good. To most beginners, it's like, oh, well, why not? It sounds fine. But it's on the list of separable, meaning that we really can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's tricky about phrasal verbs. Okay, so let's read about inseparable phrasal verbs. This is an easier category. Go ahead and read this section.
Okay. Inseparable phrasal verbs always remain together. It makes no difference if a noun or pronoun is used. Example. He scraped by on only $800 a month for 2 years. He scraped by on it. No, he scraped by. They splashed out on new office furniture. They splashed out on it. Not they splashed it out.
Excellent. Any questions there?
Scraped. Yes. Okay.
No questions?
No questions.
Okay. Then I'm going to give you an inseparable phrasal verb and ask you to make a sentence with an object.
Okay.
How about hear from? Hear from.
Hear from.
Mm-hmm.
Hear from. I don't know because the meaning hear from. I'm not sure.
Okay. I can't believe, but I have heard from him. Okay. So the part with the object is definitely correct. I have heard from him. So you use it for contact. Like if someone calls you, if someone messages you, you can say, I have heard from him. And that's perfect.
Okay.
The other part of your sentence needs an object. So probably you wanted to say, I can't believe it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I can't believe it, but I have heard from him. Great.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's try one more. This time it's going to be inseparable again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be a 3-word one. How about keep up with? Keep up with.
Okay.
Excellent. I know Peter a long time ago, and I can't keep up with him. Awesome. Good sentence. Tell me what this sentence means to you.
I'm not sure, but I've written it meaning that I can't stand him.
That you can't stand him. Okay. So it's not exactly that meaning, although your sentence is not bad. I have just one correction to make. It would probably make more sense to say, I have known Peter for a long time. So use present perfect and with the preposition for. And it's totally possible to say, I can't keep up with him. That would mean something like he is more advanced than you in some way. Like maybe if you guys are going to school together, or maybe in a very literal sense, maybe you guys are like both runners, right? And he runs faster than you, you can say, I can't keep up with him.
Mm-hmm.
So he is more advanced than you.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. So before we're going to do a few more sentences, but before that I have some notes for you, which might make some of this a little bit easier. Go ahead and read the notes.
Notes. All phrasal verbs containing more than one particle are inseparable. For example, I've put up with the situation for more than 2 years.
Okay.
Okay.
Excellent.
Okay. Put up with is inseparable.
Yeah. This document is kind of weird and messed up. But you're right. Okay. So we have some phrasal verbs that consist verb and the particle, and then others that have more than one particle. And if it has more than one particle, it's automatically inseparable.
Mm-hmm.
However, for the ones that are only 2 parts, a phrasal verb and a particle, it's very difficult to tell because there's no really good rule that tells you like these ones are and these ones aren't. Most of them is just from experience that you have to figure it out. But I have one more tip for you guys that didn't come out well on the notes, but I'm going to put it in the chat box for you. And I'll read it as well. So if you're not sure whether a phrasal verb is separable or inseparable, always use a noun or noun phrase and do not separate. In this manner, you will always be correct. So if you have to create your own sentence and you're not really sure which it is, you'll always be correct if you don't use a pronoun, you use the full noun phrase, and you put it at the end instead of in the middle.
Okay.
Got it? Okay. So let's continue with a little more practice then. This time I'm going to give you a verb, a phrasal verb set, and you have to decide if it's separable or inseparable. Now, I'm going to be pulling a lot of these from the list that I gave you. So if you feel like you're not sure, you can always check those lists, which go in alphabetical order. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. How about to do without?
To do without.
Without, yes. So if you're not sure you know that one, check your list because they give you a short definition as well as telling you if it's separable or inseparable.
And, where is the list? The list is used. Did you send me a list?
The list was the link. Do you remember? I sent it to you in the chat box, and I'll send it to you again if you like. Hold on.
No, I have.
So,
And the one-line rating lab?
the what?
The list one online rating lab?
It
About
should
separable-
say owlenglishpurdue.edu.
No.
No? Here, I'll screen share, and that should
Yeah.
help you. And then at least you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. This one, it should look like this.
And separable. Okay, yes. I know. Okay, no, I have one with separable, not with inseparable, but okay.
So this one, you get them from the same place. If you go to the left, there's separable, there's inseparable, and there's intransitive. So I promise I'm not going to be using the intransitive list because today we're not talking about those. But you can check the separable and inseparable list for that phrasal verb do without.
Do without. Do without. Do without. I think it's inseparable. In fact, it's the list of inseparable. Okay. Yeah, and a phrase. Inseparable. I don't know how to do without. It is difficult. I'm trying to write. I always want to put a noun between the two. I don't know how to do without you. I can't hear you, Michaela. I can't hear you, Michaela.
Sorry. I forget myself muted sometimes.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to do without you. It's a very sweet sentence, right? You're saying like, I can't go on without you. I'm so in love or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's perfect. That's great. So you're talking about being deprived. You could also say something like, I can't do without my morning cup of coffee. So every morning I have coffee and I can't
Yeah.
do without it.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
All right, great sentence. Thank you. Your next one, I'm going to give you the phrasal verb burn down.
Burn down.
Burn down. This should be a fun one.
Burn down.
The hill was totally burned down. Okay, interesting. The hill was totally burned down. So the sentence is great, but we don't have an object here. We have a subject, the hill, and then
Okay.
we have kind of a passive formation. So you have an interesting sentence because when we make a passive sentence, you use the object as the subject, which is
Yeah.
why if you reconfigured this sentence, it would be correct. Like if you use the active voice and came up with the doer and then put the hill at the end, then it would be correct. But because you kind of used an advanced sentence formation, we don't have an actual object in the sentence. So reconfigure that into active voice. Test.
Uh, the boy burned down the hill.
Yeah, the boy burned down the hill. Great.
Okay.
And what if, do you know if it's separable or inseparable?
Mm. No, I think it's inseparable.
So what if I said the boy burned the hill down? Is that possible?
Um, I think it could be possible too.
Okay, what about if I say the boy burned it down?
Burned
Possible?
it down. Talking about the hill, yeah, it could be
Mhm.
possible. Yeah.
Exactly. So this one is separable because we can put those there. And again, you have to have a really good ear to recognize if it's possible or impossible, but you've done a great job so far. All
Mm.
right. Let's try another. Hmm. Let down. This is kind of a good one.
Which one?
Let down. Let down.
Let down.
Yeah.
Let
What's
down
the
is
definition for let down? Do you know?
let down is to leave,
To live?
to break with someone. Let down.
Yeah, you're close. Like, I think you have the right meaning. It's like when you disappoint someone.
Mm-hmm. There are some songs always that let me down.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
don't, now I don't know the meaning. To disappoint, yeah. Let me down. Let down. It is separable because I know the song. I can remember the song. Let me down. Let you down. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, music is actually a great place to go for learning phrasal verbs.
Hmm. Sometimes there are some mistakes in the songs, but
That much is true.
grammatical sense.
Yes, definitely. Music is wonderful, but also difficult at times too because it really helps and makes learning fun, but on the other hand, sometimes it teaches you wrong.
Hmm. I'm going to try to write a sentence. Um,
You always let me down. Yes, excellent. So in your sentence, you used it as separable, right?
Yeah.
With a
Yeah.
pronoun. Excellent. And it's totally correct. Thanks.
Okay.
Since we have plenty of time still left in class, let's try a little bit with the intransitive phrasal verbs. That's another category where we don't use an object, and it's also an important topic of phrasal verbs, but a little bit besides the point of what we were talking about today. Do you have any other questions on separable and inseparable phrasal verbs before we try out some intransitive phrasal verbs?
No, I think
Okay.
it's only
Awesome.
to repeat it, to use it, and this is the best way to learn.
Yes, exactly. Practice, practice, practice.
Yeah.
Okay, then let's talk about intransitive. We already mentioned them a little, saying that these are the ones that don't take an object. So let's practice a little with these as well. Let me come up with a good one, and we'll write some sentences. Have you ever heard pan out? Pan out? Yeah.
No.
Well, it is on our list in this same website. And the definition they give us here is to turn out well or be successful, which matches pretty much with how I think of pan out. So I'll give you an example, and then I'll have you give me an example. I might say something like, well, I planned for weeks the surprise birthday party of my sister, but in the end, it didn't pan out because she never showed up. So,
it didn't pan out because she never showed up?
Yeah, it didn't pan out because she never showed up to her surprise birthday party.
Yeah.
Meaning that I planned for weeks, but it was not a success. It did not turn out well. All right, now you try an example of pan out. Awesome. I hope your plans pan out soon. Good. That's a pretty good general statement using pan out. All right. How about, let's get fancy. This time I'm going to give you two phrasal verbs to use in the same sentence, and we're still working with intransitive. So how about throw up and pull through? Throw up and pull through. So use both of them in one sentence, and if you're not sure about the definition, you can check your list of intransitive verbs. They give you a good definition there.
Oof, I don't know. Throw up. Sorry.
So you're feeling a little stuck with these?
Yes, because I don't know the meaning.
So let's look at our list. Throw up is towards the bottom because they're in alphabetical order. So T comes to the bottom. And the definition there is vomit.
Throw up. I knew. And now I remember. Yeah. So this is throw up to vomit. Yeah. Pull through. Yeah. Oh, I don't know. So, pull through. The meaning of pull through. What is the meaning?
Pull through is to survive, but barely. So we have vomit and survive, but barely. And pull through is on the intransitive list as well.
You must. I'm going to repeat. Sorry.
Any ideas come into mind?
Yes. Sorry. No, just a minute.
Take your time, no problem.
When I saw you throwing up, I thought you would not pull through.
Okay, when I saw you throwing up, I thought you would not pull through. Excellent. Okay, the only correction I'd like to make is instead of will, I would put would, because you're saying you had this idea about the future, but it didn't come true, right? Unless your friend actually did die.
Yeah. Okay.
So, when I saw you throwing up, I thought you would not pull through. Excellent. Great sentence. Do you have any last questions or comments in the next few minutes before we finish up?
About the list, you sent me. I have one separable phrasal verbs, and the other one, did you send it to me? And separable phrasal verbs, or I can.
Sure. Here.
I get one about separable phrasal verbs, but you have shown the screen, sharing the screen.
Yes.
Another one.
I'm going to show you the screen one more time. Okay. So this is the list of intransitive verbs. Now, if you look to the left here, do you see my mouse?
Yeah.
So you can switch to separable phrasal verbs in this left column.
Okay.
And inseparable phrasal verbs and transitive phrasal verbs. So as long as you have that link up, you have access to them all.
Okay, thank you. I thought it was a PDF. It was not possible to choose.
Yeah, I wish they had them all on one page, but it's a little more confusing. So sorry about that. But I'm glad you have it now. Anything else before we finish today?
No. Thank you. Very good class.
Well, thank you for being our brave solo student in class today.
Very interesting.
And
thank you,
I hope
Michaela.
to see you again soon.
Sure.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Michaela.